Kendrick Lamar just got exposed as the coldest silent assassin hip-hop has ever seen. Because while Drake spent over a decade trying to be his friend, Kendrick was allegedly plotting his destruction the entire time. Every compliment Drake gave him, Kendrick reportedly threw it right back in his face. Every peace offering, rejected. Every subliminal, answered with something nastier. This isn't a beef that started in 2024, y'all. This is a slow burn execution that's been cooking since 2011, and the receipts are insane. One man kept saying we're cool. The other man never said it back. Not once. Not ever. And Drake really thought being nice was gonna save him? Bro signed his own career death certificate 15 years ago, and didn't even know he was holding the pen. Before we get into it, like, subscribe. Don't miss it, nah. Aubrey Drake Graham, yes, that Drake, and Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, Kate himself, have been locked in hip-hop's longest Cold War. And the trigger moment came on August 12, 2013, when Kendrick dropped his verse on Big Sean's Control, uploaded across every platform, calling out Drake and damn near the entire rap game by name. From that day forward, the two traded subliminals for over a decade, on wax and interviews at award shows. Drake really thought he could compliment his way out of a war Kendrick had already declared. Now let's look at the receipts that show why being friendly was the worst strategy possible. Let's start at the beginning because this story does not start with beef. It starts with Drake being a genuine fan. In an XXL interview back in 2011, Kendrick said this about meeting Drake for the first time in Toronto on June 16 of that year. "That's a real good dude. He got a real genuine soul. We clicked immediately." Keep that word in your head. Clicked. Because it's the last time Kendrick would ever say anything that warm about this man. And Drake? Drake was all in. He put Kendrick on Take Care, the Buried Alive interlude, dropped November 15, 2011, where Kendrick literally narrated meeting him. "So we sat down with a few drinks, located where you can't see us." Drake even tweeted Kendrick's ADHD lyrics in 2011, took him and A$AP Rocky on the Club Paradise tour in 2012, and said on stage on camera, "This is my brother Kendrick Lamar." He later told interviewers he fought his own label to put these guys on the road. "There's people I can put on here that the label wants me to put on here, but I fight for this one reason, man. I fight to promote what I love." When I heard that, I was like, yo, this man really loved Kendrick. Which makes everything that comes after so much worse. Then October 22, 2012, Good Kid, Mad City drops. Drake tweets, "Congratulations to Kendrick. Incredible body of work. Honored to be a part of it." He returned the favor with the Poetic Justice feature. "Everything looks beautiful, right?" Wrong. Because here's the first crack in the wall. DMX, rest in peace to a legend, went on record in 2012 saying he wanted to fight Drake, catch him in an elevator. And when Kendrick got asked about it days later, he said his entire tour bus was in tears laughing. Them dudes in the front of the bus just cracking up, hitting walls. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, yeah, X is going in right now. Bro said that about the man who put him on? When I read this, I had to do a double take. Your brother gets clowned by a legend and your reaction is, "We nearly died laughing?" That's not friendship. That's the first receipt that Kendrick never respected this man. Then came the bomb. August 12, 2013, Big Sean's Control. Kendrick said, "I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you." J. Cole, Big Crit, Whale, Pusha T, Meek Mill, A$AP Rocky, Drake. Named everybody. And most of the game took it as sport. J. Cole, Pusha, all of them said it was good for hip-hop. Drake's response in an interview weeks later, "It just wasn't real to me. I saw him after that and it was just like love." So it's like, was that real or was that just for the people? Don't just say that and then see me and be like, yeah man, what's up? Pretending like nothing ever happened. Nah, hold on. Everybody else understood it was competitive sparring. Only one man took it personal. That's when I said, oh, this is deeper than rap for these two. Then Drake started firing back on wax. The language, off nothing was the same. September 2013. "I am the kid with the motor mouth, I am the one you should worry about." Motor mouth. A slick shot at Kendrick's whole style. Then the 2013 BET Hip Hop Awards cypher. Kendrick went first ballot. Nothing's been the same since they dropped Control, and tucked a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Aha, joke's on you. I'm bulletproof, your shots'll never penetrate. He used the man's own album title to call him sensitive. On national TV, when Sway asked him the very next day if it was about Drake, Kendrick just said, "Just having fun as usual." With the straightest face I've ever seen. That's serial killer behavior, I'm sorry. Then Drake on Future's Shoo. The remix, late 2013. "I hear you talk about your city like you run that. Then I brought my tour to your city, you my son there. Wow, you my son there. Because Kendrick's first big tour was Drake's tour. That's the most Jay-Z thing Drake ever said, I can't even front. Then the Rolling Stone interview February 2014, where Drake commented on Macklemore's Grammy text apology to Kendrick, and just look at the target of his energy. Why do that? Why feel guilt? To name just Kendrick? That made me feel funny. No, in that case you robbed everybody. We all need text messages now. He was supposed to be defending Kendrick. Read it again. That's not defense. That's a man salty he ain't in the mix. And Kendrick answered on J-Rock's Pay For It, October 2014. I tell him King Kendrick resurrected your motor mouth till I break down the engine. Direct response to the language. Then when asked about it days later, Kendrick hit the coldest dodge in history. What Drake feud? That's people digging in way too far. Bruh, you just dissed him. That's when I knew Kendrick is never gonna give Drake the satisfaction of a public confirmation. Ever. Then the ghostwriting nuke. July 21st to 22nd, 2015, Meek Mill tweeted that Drake doesn't write his own raps, and the reference tracks leaked. But rewind, Kendrick had already said on King Kunta. Months earlier, March 2015. I can dig rap pen, but a rapper with a ghostwriter? What the F happened? He reportedly knew before the world did. And when Rolling Stone asked Kendrick about ghostwriting in 2017, he said, I called myself the best rapper. I cannot call myself the best rapper if I have a ghostwriter, but the title, it won't be there. He didn't say Drake's name. He didn't have to. Then the Heart Part 4, March 23, 2017. Y'all know what time it is, April 7th, sit your punk it down. And on Element, off damn. Most of y'all throw rocks and try to hide your hand. Just say his name and I promise that you'll see Candyman. And on All the Stars with SZA 2018. I don't even want your congratulations. When I heard that one I was like, this man is rejecting peace in real time. And Drake still tried. Rap Radar December 2018. I have a lot of respect for the other two guys that I'm constantly up against, which is like Cole and Kendrick. Still trying. Still getting nothing back. Now that we got the quotes, let's connect the dots. Okay, so here's where the story gets spooky because when you line these dates up, a pattern jumps off the page that almost nobody talks about. Start with that first Toronto meeting? June 16, 2011, and Kendrick handed Drake an unreleased copy of Section .80. Drake was allegedly the first person outside TDE to hear it. Now fast forward. Drake puts him on Take Care, November 2011. Takes him on tour February 2012. Good Kid drops October 2012. So in 16 months, Kendrick went from handing out mixtapes to standing next to Drake as a peer. And Drake helped build that. We all watched it happen in real time. The man literally constructed the stage his own arch-nemesis would stand on. Y'all didn't notice that though. Every single boost in Kendrick's early mainstream career has Drake's fingerprints on it. Now that ESPN story. This is the one that should have changed everything. Kendrick drops the verse August 12, 2013. Drake does Hot 97 on September 24th, sounding bitter. The very next day, September 25, 2013, Drake appears on ESPN Sports Nation with Marcellus Wiley and Max Kellerman. And according to Wiley years later in a Vlad TV interview and in his book, Drake went completely off on Kendrick in that tape segment. So vicious reportedly that Wiley compared it to the heights of 50 Cent and Ja Rule. And then, Drake's team made sure it never aired. Wiley even claimed Drake threatened to pull out of hosting the SPYS if ESPN ran it. Now I know Wiley was selling a book, and I bought it $13.99, searched it, and the expose was basically, we still got the tape, take my word for it. We got hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray. But that date sequence, y'all? September 24th bitter interview, September 25th ESPN meltdown that got buried? I believe something happened on that set. And Drake really thought burying one tape would bury the whole story. That's the move of somebody with infinite money and zero long-term vision. Then look at the 2015 window. That ghostwriter lyric on King Kunta? Dropped March 2015. Meek's tweets? July 2015. Which means Kendrick was reportedly sitting on that information for months before it became public. He didn't expose it. He just hinted. Left it in the music like a landmine and waited for somebody else to step on it. That's not luck, that's patience. Drake thought the Meek War was about Meek. Meanwhile, Kendrick had already written the prologue. And 2017 Drake drops More Life, March 18th. A Happy Summer Vibes project with 0 shots at Kendrick. 4 days later The Heart Part 4 lands like an airstrike, 116 bars of pure aggression. Then fans flooded Drake's Instagram spamming the Roman numeral 4. So the one time Drake stands down, that's when Kendrick chooses violence. Any strategist knows you strike when the enemy lowers his guard, but it also tells you who actually wants the war and who doesn't. Drake really thought silence would buy him peace. Nah bruh, silence just told Kendrick you were unarmed. One more. Kendrick goes ghost for 5 years after Damn, April 2017 to May 2022. And during that entire blackout, Drake kept the friendly campaign going, sharing old Twitter DMs in 2018 showing teenage-era Kendrick asking to link, posting a throwback photo for Take Care's 10-year anniversary in 2021, complimenting him on tour stops. 8 documented gestures of goodwill across a decade. And Kendrick's responses? That track with SZA, the congratulations rejection, dropped the exact same day as Drake's diplomatic immunity, January 2018, where Drake finally snapped back. They try to compare us. There's no you and I. I taught you everything you know. Same day, y'all. That's not coincidence. That's two men releasing statements at each other through release schedules. We all saw this coming. The only person who didn't was Drake. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Now check this out. Nobody's really dissecting the word choices in this war, and that's where Kendrick hides the bodies. On Element, the Candyman reference, say the name 5 times and he appears and kills you. On the surface it's a classic horror flick shout-out. But zoom in on the mechanism. Candyman doesn't hunt randomly. He only comes when summoned. Kendrick is telling Drake, I will not start a public war with you. I will not say your name. But the moment you say mine, directly, no subliminals, I appear and it's fatal. He's not threatening violence, he's setting terms. The entire beef on Kendrick's side has been an invitation for Drake to go direct. And Drake, for over a decade, refused to take the bait because on some level he knew. Y'all didn't catch that though. And Drake really thought subliminals were the smart play? Kendrick literally wrote the terms of engagement into a platinum album and Drake kept playing by his own rules instead. On Damn, the track God, Kendrick rides a bouncy, melodic sing-song delivery that sounds suspiciously like somebody else's catalog. Kendrick does not normally sound like that. This is a man who does jazz, funk, boom bap, everything except glossy melodic pop rap. So why, on his most commercially dominant album, does he suddenly sound like a guy from Toronto? Because it's a demonstration. It's Kendrick saying, your whole lane? I can drive in it whenever I want. It's not your gift, it's just a setting. When I caught that, I had to rewind 3 times. And Drake didn't respond to it, because how do you respond to somebody casually wearing your whole style as a Halloween costume on a #1 album? On Deep Water off Dr. Dre's Compton soundtrack, August 2015, Kendrick says something about them nominating 6 to carry him, and the drama being better than a great white. This is life in my aquarium. Zoom in 6. Toronto's been the 6th since Drake branded it. A pallbearer line, 6 men carry a casket, and then the great white shark reference. Drake had a song called 6 God. He calls himself a goat, and Kendrick frames him as a shark in his aquarium, meaning even at your most dangerous, you're a creature inside my tank. I control the environment you swim in. That is one of the most disrespectful constructions I've ever heard, and it slid past everybody because it was buried on a Dre album. If Drake had half a brain, he would have addressed this in 2015. He never did. That's the problem with Drake. He doesn't read between the lines, he reads between the streams. 2013, day after the cypher, Kendrick gets asked directly if the pajama line was about Drake. And he doesn't deny it, he says just having fun as usual with 0 smirk, 0 breakdown, 0 tells. Compare that to Drake in every interview of the same era. Visibly bothered, long explanations, Jordan analogies. It's not real to me. One man's voice shakes when he talks about the other. The other man flatlines. Interrogators will tell you. The person who stays flat while lying is the dangerous one. Kendrick's been flatlining for 15 years. Kendrick never ever says Drake's name. Control, he named a dozen rappers and that's the only time. Everything after. Motormouth responses, ghostwriter lectures, Candyman warnings. No you and I replies, all nameless. That's not avoidance. That's branding. Saying a man's name acknowledges his existence. Kendrick's message, decoded across 15 years, is consistent. You are not worth the SEO. And Drake really didn't catch that? That's embarrassing. Now let's see how the media covered this. Alright, so how did the outlets frame this thing over the years, because the media has been low-key taking sides this whole time. XXL and Billboard, covering that 2013 cypher, framed it as Kendrick being competitive. Subtly deeses Drake was Billboard's exact framing. Competitive sport, good for the culture. And look, that's the framing the entire industry adopted. Kendrick equals competitive sport, Drake equals emotional. But remember that flatline sway moment from earlier? That's not what just sport looks like. Sport has a handshake after. There's never been a handshake. The media ran with healthy competition because that framing was safe. Nobody wanted to say out loud that one man genuinely could not stand the other. Then DJ Booth, when the heart part for dropped, framed it as a who's the target? Mystery Drake or Big Sean. They did timeline math to argue it maybe wasn't about more life at all. And that's fair. But it misses the forest for the trees. Whether every bar was written that week or not, the release timing was a choice. Somebody at TD looked at the calendar, saw More Life 4 days old and said, now. Outlets debated the pen. Nobody questioned the trigger finger. Then you've got the Marcellus Wiley saga. Vibe covered it straight, NBC News circled back years later and framed it as the moment the beef began. And Vlad TV gave Wiley the platform twice. But notice what all of them did. Reported the buried tape as a curiosity, a fun footnote. A major network allegedly caving to an artist's publicist to protect his image is a media power story. And every outlet treated it like gossip. Why? Because Drake's relationships with media run deep. Meanwhile, Kendrick does 3 interviews a decade and gets framed as the mysterious one. That asymmetry ain't accidental. Now some people, mostly Drake fans, let's be honest, are saying this whole narrative is cap. Their counter is, Drake showed love repeatedly, Kendrick never confirmed a single diss. So maybe there's no beef at all. Maybe it's all fan fiction. But those are the same people who thought the DMX bus laughter story was just locker room talk. Nah. Here's why the it's all friendly theory doesn't hold up. One side has 7 to 8 documented compliments across a decade. The other side has 0. 0 y'all. In 15 years, Kendrick Lamar has never once publicly said anything nice about Drake. Not a congratulations. Not a happy birthday. Nothing. A feud requires 2 people. A one-sided war only requires one man who never forgave. And a second man too proud to admit he's losing. The media trying to spin this as mutual competition, but the receipts don't lie. But here's what nobody is saying. Here's what nobody is talking about. And I'm picking the angle the mainstream is terrified to touch. This was never a rap beef. It was a 15-year authenticity audit. And Drake failed it in week 1. Every outlet frames this story as 2 kings, 1 throne. Competition. Bar for bar. Who's the GOAT? That's the comfortable version. The version that lets you enjoy both catalogs and stay neutral. Here's what they won't tell you. Kendrick Lamar identified Drake as inauthentic in 2011, possibly the very first night they met, and everything since has been one long, patient documentation of that original diagnosis. Think about what Kendrick actually said at the start. Not the compliments, the song. That interlude on Take Care? The whole record is Kendrick wrestling with whether fame corrupts. He sat in Drake's world, the drinks, the hidden locations, the white waitress on standby, and his takeaway wasn't gratitude. It was a warning. He basically said, this lifestyle changes people for the worse and I'm watching a man it already changed. We all heard that track as a humble newcomer soaking in the moment. Nah, it was a field report from inside the machine. And Drake happily released it on his own album, not realizing his new friend had just documented him as a cautionary tale. In plain English, the first thing Kendrick ever gave Drake was a receipt. Now run the authenticity audit forward. The DMX bus story, remember that? A legend clowns Drake, and Kendrick's honest reaction is public laughter. That's the moment the mask slipped. Kendrick finds Drake's whole aura funny. Not threatening. Not impressive. Funny. The cipher line, the pajama clothes shot, wasn't sport, it was a diagnosis. This man is soft, and his sensitivity proves the persona is manufactured. The ghostwriter lecture in Rolling Stone. The title won't be there. That's the audit's core finding. Kendrick's position, stated in plain terms for anyone listening. Drake might be the biggest artist alive, but bigness isn't realness. Streams aren't credibility. And credibility is the only currency Kendrick has ever accepted. And that's why the friendly campaign never worked. Drake kept offering compliments, DMs, throwback photos, tour nostalgia. Because in Drake's world, relationships are transactions. Mutual benefit. Public gestures. Optics. That's what sincere looks like when you grew up on television. It's performed. But Kendrick doesn't do transactions. Kendrick is from Compton, where respect is earned in person and words mean exactly what they mean. So every olive branch Drake extended didn't read as kindness, it read as more performance. More proof of the original diagnosis. Drake is a puppet of his own image, and every time he pulled a heartstring, Kendrick just saw the strings. This is the same playbook we've seen before. By the way, the culture has run this audit on other artists. Remember what the streets did to Ja Rule when 50 exposed the gap between the image and the man? Career over in 18 months. The difference is 50 did it loud and Kendrick does it in silence, which is worse. Loud beefs end. Audits never close. Drake is repeating the fatal mistake of every manufactured era artist. He believed the scoreboard would save him. The streams, the plaques, the records. But the audit doesn't check Billboard. It checks souls. Here's the part that should genuinely scare Drake's camp. Kendrick told us the conclusion years ago and nobody processed it. "We come from two different worlds, two different backgrounds," he said when asked about ever battling Drake. "I really don't see that playing out." The industry heard humility. It wasn't humility. It was a verdict. In Kendrick's value system, Drake doesn't qualify for the war. You can't battle somebody you don't consider a real MC. All the subliminals, the ciphers, the nameless shots, that was never Kendrick engaging a rival. That was Kendrick pestering an imposter off the throne. Drake was playing chess against a man who doesn't recognize chess as a real game. And the silence, the 5-year disappearance, the refusal to ever respond to kindness, that's the most devastating move of all. Every gesture Drake made into the void made him look smaller. Kendrick understood something Drake never will. In an authenticity audit, the man who cares less wins. Drake wrote essays. Kendrick wrote nothing. Drake explained himself to Rolling Stone, to Vibe, to Rap Radar, to every mic that would hold still. Kendrick shrugged at Sway and changed the subject. One man is forever on trial. The other is the judge, and judges don't testify. And that's the truth they won't tell you. This beef was over before it started, because you cannot beat a man whose respect you never had, using a currency he doesn't accept, in a game he doesn't acknowledge exists. So what happens next? Here's what's most likely to happen, mark my words. Drake is gonna keep poking. He's gonna drop another subliminal on some future album, a line here, a reference there, because history says he literally cannot help himself. And Kendrick? Kendrick is gonna respond exactly how he always responds, with silence, or with another nameless shot buried in a verse 6 months later. And here's why that's devastating for Drake. Every unanswered poke makes him look more desperate. The culture's already noticed the pattern. One man swings, the other man doesn't flinch. When Kendrick doesn't respond, Drake is gonna look desperate, screaming into the void. Watch what happens, the narrative hardens. Drake wants it, Kendrick doesn't care. That's the legacy cementing in real time. And there's no diss track that fixes a perception problem. The silence is gonna hurt Drake more than any diss track ever could. Now, if Drake finally snaps, if he goes direct, says the name, drops a real record aimed at Kendrick, it's actually worse for him. Because Kendrick's been building the "say my name" trap for a decade. You think the Candyman warning was a metaphor? When that direct shot lands, Kendrick's gonna come off the top rope with something he's allegedly been sitting on for years. We saw what Kendrick does when he actually decides to engage. This is the man who turned one guest verse into a cultural earthquake. Drake is not ready for what's coming if Kendrick ever takes this seriously. And here's the sick part. Drake's team knows it. That's reportedly why that ESPN tape got buried, that's why the diss stay subliminal, that's why every escalation gets walked back with a compliment. Drake's gonna keep choosing the middle path, shots with plausible deniability, because the moment he goes all in, he's betting a 15-year commercial empire against a man with nothing to lose and a Pulitzer on the shelf. That's the worst bet in hip-hop. Either way this plays out, Kendrick wins. Respond or don't respond, Drake loses both branches of the decision tree. Looking at the bigger picture, this story is going to be remembered as the moment hip-hop's value system flipped for good. For a decade, the scoreboard was the story. Streams, sales, chart weeks, and Drake owned every column. But watch what happens over the next 5 years. The culture's already moving, lyricism is premium again, authenticity is the flex again, and every new generation of MCs is going to study this saga as the case study. Kendrick's approach, say less, write everything, never break character, disappear for years and return undisputed. That's going to be the new blueprint. And Drake's approach, visibility, volume, friendliness as strategy, is going to get taught as the cautionary tale. This is going to be the moment everyone remembers as when the numbers stopped matching. 5 years from now, people will look back at the compliments, the DMs, the throwback posts, and they'll see it clearly. Drake spent a decade auditioning for the respect of a man who'd already made up his mind in 2011. Drake is watching the culture move on without him, and there's nothing he can do about it, because you can't chart your way back to credibility. Whatever happens, one thing's clear, Drake already lost. The audit closed. The verdict's in. And the judge never even looked up from the paperwork. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering the real story, smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss when we expose what everyone else is too scared to say. Ring that bell for notifications. And if you want more truth bombs like this, click on one of these videos next. Trust me, you'll want to see what we found.